Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again. So, component number 5 to successful trading, to profitable trading, is to accept your trading losses as being just part of the overall business plan. The business plan that you have for your trading. I'm always equating trading to any other kind of business, and losses in trading are completely inevitable. I'm talking about trade losses, single trade losses, and even series of trade losses are inevitable. That doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily have a losing month or a losing year or you're going to have a profitable business, but you're going to have periods of time or single trades where you make a loss, and it's how you handle that loss emotionally and mentally that's going to determine how serious that loss is for you. In terms of trading, the most difficult, the most challenging thing that people have to overcome in trading is their emotions. Their emotions. Is the emotion of fear. It's the emotions that drive poor decisions in trading. And losses can create fear, of course, because if you are a beginner trader and you have more frequent losses than you do profits, if you can see that you've got a capital base, you start trading and you can see the capital base eroding, then that's due to your losses, and it's due to the fact that you probably have more losses, more frequent losses than you do have profitable trades, and that creates fear within, and that sets off a chain reaction of chemicals within the body, and they're chemicals that really aren't helpful in terms of the future trading decisions that you're going to make. Okay, you make trading decisions from here, from the logical part of your brain, and the emotions come from down here, the physical part of your body almost. Okay, the emotions in here are designed to help you, but sometimes they get mixed up and they cause more of a hindrance than a help. And this is the chemical reaction as it takes place within the brain. You have a loss and it potentially sets off fear within in your physical body, and the chemicals are all negative chemicals for you, and they lead to poor decisions up here, and that causes spiraling trading losses and potentially losses of trading accounts. That's very often a cycle that beginners go through. As you use these essential components to successful trading, as you begin to build on what you already know and you start implementing some of the methods that I'm talking about, then eventually you'll end up with a profitable trading strategy. Okay, so that's the first and foremost thing, is you need to be able to see trade setups occurring on your charts. You need to be able to recognize those trading setups. So I've talked about the duck test in the past. Okay, you need to be able to look at your chart and recognize a duck on the chart. Recognize for what it is. You need to be able to see it swimming like a duck, and you need to be able to hear it quacking like a duck. And once you've got those three things, then the probability is you've got a duck, and if it meets the criteria that you have for your trade setup, then you can take a trade. And within there, that also includes having the balance between the reward that you're going to make from successful trades against the risk that you're going to make, the losses that you're going to make from unsuccessful trades. So the risk and reward has to be, the equation there has to be correct, and it has to be correct in every trading scenario, and that should be factored in to your trading system, should be factored into the type of trades that you're looking for. They all have to have a good risk and reward. And once you've got the balance of your risk and reward right, you've got you're able to see the ducks on your chart and identify them as the correct ducks, then you know that if you take a trade, there's a probability of it winning and there's a probability of it losing. You'll know that because you've got statistics and you've back tested your system. These are all things that I've talked about in the past. Once you've understood all of that and you've got all of those things in place and you've got the right education and you've had the right educational coaching to enable you to make the correct decisions in the right moment, then the actual outcome of every individual trade doesn't matter. That might sound crazy, if you're beginning and you're having more frequent losses than profitable trades, and you're losing money overall. It's very difficult to see a loss in anything other than it was another loss and my trading account's going down. But the thing is that it's because you haven't got the other elements in place, the system, the strategy, the risk and reward. And you can't understand you can't recognize a duck when a duck appears in front of you. If you can't get those bits right, then a loss is potentially serious. Because it creates emotion within your body, and the emotion's negative, and it may mean that you start taking more risk to make back your losses, etc. So you need to get the whole thing, the whole trading business, into a position where you have a successful business and you just need to operate it like a successful business with good, sensible, logical trading decisions rather than emotional decisions based on the heart, okay? And so they get your education right first of all. If you're still looking for information, if you want more of a solid base for your education, then we can help you with that sort of thing, and I can help you identify weaknesses and strengths within a system that you've already got to make it better. Okay, the aim of trading is not to erase losses completely, okay? That might sound strange as well, but the fact is that you cannot avoid a loss. A trade in any scenario has a probability of winning and it has a probability of losing. And within your system, you'll have identified your duck, and you'll know that if you see a duck, there is a probability within what happens next of it winning or it losing, but you know that the probability is in your favour. So it's almost impossible to get a scenario where the probability is greater than 80% of the market going up for a certain number of points or down for a certain number of points. So it doesn't matter. You might make a perfectly good decision based on seeing a duck and having correctly identified the duck, but and taking the trade, and your trade might still lose because that's part of the 20%. And actually, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter in the slightest. Okay, you've got to see trading as a business. In any business, you have to spend money to accumulate money, but you need to know your market right. And many years ago, I worked in an estate agent, and so I could use that as an example. My marketing strategy might involve leaflet dropping the houses in the area. I have my estate agency. And I should know that certain roads, certain areas within my overall area are better for me to leaflet drop, spend my time on, spend the money in marketing to these people than in other areas. Okay, I should know how many people are likely to respond to my adverts in different streets, in different areas, and I must focus my marketing on the areas where I know it works best. As a trader, you need to understand your business of trading just like that. And that means being able to identify your trade setups when they show up, have early signs in your mind as to what you're looking for, have a tick box almost of criteria. When they're met and the risk and reward is right on the trade, you take the trade and you accept the consequences, okay? Very often, in the early part of my career, I used to think, right, that's one of those setups, I'm taking it, and I would just assume that the trade was going to lose. And when it did, it was a loss, and that was that. But it didn't set off fear, because I knew that it was a profitable system overall, and if I took 10 of that type of trade, and I got the trade, and I got the duck right in every case, identified it correctly and got the criteria correct, I know that 7 out of those 10 trades will be profitable. So I've just had a 1 out of the 3, a 1 out of the 10 trades that was the loser. And losers happen, and it doesn't matter. You have to spend to accumulate in business. You have to take a risk in order to gain a reward in business, and trading is just like that. So once you've got the solid foundations of your business, then it is a business, and you can just accept marketing costs. You can accept training costs, coaching costs as part of the costs of business, and a loss is part of that. Do you think the most successful traders in the world, do you think they have losses? Well, they do have trade losses. And do you think it bothers them? Well, as long as they're not placing more money at risk in certain trades than they are in other trades. So this is managing your risk and managing your trading account. As long as the actual amount at risk is the same on each trade, then, and you can work that calculation out before you take the trade, then a loss doesn't make any difference. They don't sit there dwelling on it at night. It's just part of the business. A business that needs an income to survive, when it has a day when it doesn't have income, it effectively has losses, doesn't it? Because it's got staff costs and no income. So trading's just the same, except you see your money going down visually in front of you when you have a loss. And so you have to adjust mentally to the fact that losses happen, and it's all about getting the rocks in place in your education so you can see a duck, notice what type of duck it is, and when you've got a duck that looks and it swims and it sounds like the duck that you were looking to identify, then you take your trade, and the outcome of that single trade doesn't make any difference. And when you assume that you're going to have a loss every trade and you actually have a win, then it makes you feel absolutely great. When you've followed all of your criteria, when you've followed your plan perfectly and you have a win, it makes you feel great. And if that happens 70% of the time, which is something you can aim for, that sort of percentage, then you can see your trading account growing almost every week, or almost every day in some cases, and certainly every month you'd expect to see your trading account growing 9 out of 10 months anyway. And that's when you've got a successful career and a successful business, and you're on the way to where you initially wanted to go when you started trading. There's an awful lot of work in trading in the early part of your career, the first few years almost, a lot of screen time, a lot of research, a lot of education. And then you reach the stage where you know what's going on. You can recognise your ducks, and you've got your trading system, your trading plan in place, and everything's rosy. And then you can start lowering the time that you spend on your business. Just move into a management position and let the markets do the work for you. Spend less time. You don't have to be looking at a trade every 5 minutes if you're working on higher time frames, and you don't have to be spending all day trading when you're working on lower time frames. You pick and choose, and you can spend time on other areas of your life, which at the end of the day are probably, life is the reason. For a good life is the reason that we work, and that's difficult to lose that perspective. In trading, everything's, we home in on the minute, the short-term time frame, and successful traders will constantly pan out to the bigger picture, to the bigger time frames, just to get perspective on what's going on. You may have heard of it described like a helicopter ride. Take a helicopter ride, and it gives you perspective on life, and that reminds you of the reasons that you're doing what you're doing. Anyway, I hope that you found this useful and insightful. And so this is the next concept, the next thing to bear in mind. The next component is just once you've got all your rocks in place and your education in place, then you need to aim to just see a loss as part of doing business, and that will release the emotional pressure from within and allow you to make sensible, logical, brain-made decisions rather than body-made decisions. I hope you found that useful. My name's Anthony Beardsall. I'll look forward to talking to you more on the next video. Cheers for now. Bye.